Welcome to MC Travelogue. On this, the 50th episode, we'll be exploring the entire Minecraft world we've created so far. So here we're starting at the Step Pyramid, the recently discovered Step Pyramid. It's kind of out in the wilderness, and as you can see, the sun is rising in the east, which means looking out this way is to the north. Everything we've created is south of here. So we are right now at the very northernmost point of the civilization that we know. And on this episode, we're going to do something a little different. We're taken to the air. You're going to see everything that has been featured in all episodes to this point. I'm going to fly over and show how where they're located in relation to each other and just the entire area that we've created. Okay, and like I said, we're starting here at the Step Pyramid. Everything to the north is wilderness. Nothing's been touched out in there. I can see that being a direction we end up going. Okay, so when we come back over across the river here, this is what is now known as Grandville. This is the place that's really happening right now. Things are really starting to blow up here. I expect this whole area is going to be full pretty soon. But as you can see down here at the end of the river here, that's the underwater dome. That's phase 2 of the big underwater dome. Phase 1 was to build a dome on land, which we'll see shortly. And this was phase 2, to actually build a dome underwater. And there's the sign to say that we are now in Grandville. And up here was something called King of the Mountains. If you remember that, this is the highest point, natural point in the area. So that's the aerial view of it. There's the ladder to get up there. Okay, so beyond this little woods here, we leave Grandville and we enter a strip of land called Sparta. And down here we have the black building, which was the arcade. And at the time I filmed the arcade, that was the only thing out here. Sparta is another up-and-coming area. Okay, we also have the Sky Bridge, the 2 towers here with the glass bridge connecting them. If we go under there, just to the south, we have the Moon Garden. Over here, the flowers. And here are the different trees that are grown. Then at the eastern end, we've got the Science Lab. If you remember that episode, Will and Paige were both part of that episode. Okay, so after the Science Lab, we continue on, and this is the Broken Village. This was here long before we came here. We discovered it, and we saw the ruins. I mentioned it looked like there had been some explosions, or I'm not really sure what happened, but you can see over here there used to be some kind of fountain, or I really wish we could see what this place looked like prior to the destruction, or maybe it's just over time things fell apart, fell into ruins. So now we'll head down here. This was one of the first major areas, and this is Space Village. It's kind of a central focus on a lot of the early stuff. This area also featured the temple below. That's the little building that goes under there, and Will has a house down underneath there. Just beyond that, here's Will's rocket. We went up in that one time, one of the episodes. Over here was the very first roller coaster in the land. Will built this. It was called the Miner, and you can see it from above. He wrote it in stone blocks, wrote the name The Miner. So if we go over this way, we get to the area called Game Zone. Will showed us a couple of his little mini games that he's created. Back behind us, this big white building, the RTS, the Regional Transit System. This is the white train system that you see all over. You'll see white tracks, and then all the stations are these white and blue buildings, and you'll see them all over the place. Everything's connected by this train system. I'm going to do a couple of episodes eventually showing the route. You know, just we're going to ride the train, scenic train journey. But anyway, this is the headquarters building for the RTS. And then coming over this way, you got Paige's wondrous mansion over here. She gave us a tour of that on an episode. Beyond that, here is the battle bridge. We'll just fly underneath the battle bridge because we can. This is the newly constructed spectator platform. And all of it goes right along the wall. Now I've featured the wall before, but this is our first look at what's inside. Inside is Paige's domain, and it contains her one of her main houses early on. There'll be an episode coming up featuring that area. For now, we're going to leave that behind. Come over here. Here's Will's house, another central hub. The time the Space Village was being developed, Will was over here building this, and this was all out in the field. So you had Space Village over there, Will's house, and then Paige's house right there. And she connected them with, you can see the original pink train line. So that was how all three of these things were connected originally. Now it's a central hub. You could take several different train lines from his house, and you can see all three of our rooms on top that he built for us. Okay, then as we head over this way, you can see this is the radio station, KORE. Across the street from that is the Giant's house, which is still under construction. You can really see the giant refrigerator from this angle. I thought that was pretty neat. You got the wooden walkway, goes through the giant old-fashioned wood roller coaster. It's pretty huge. And right next to it is the glass. This was the original prototype dome. This was number 1. Number 2 you saw earlier, underwater. And here we have Kevin's shrimp shack, built overlooking the ocean. So you get your food and sit out on the wooden dock there, or wooden deck. Right next to the free fall ride. People climb all the way to the top, go down through that hole, and they go all the way into the earth, and it's full of water at the bottom. So you have a great view of the surrounding area here. Now, if you're riding the train in this area, you're going to go up this hill and go through a tunnel through the mountain. And the tunnel is called the Tunnel of Light. Come out, and out on this peninsula, you've got the New Dawn Observatory. So it's built out here kind of on its own, out in the dark. At night, it's really dark. Great viewing out over the ocean. Okay, so you come out here. Now we're still heading south. Most of this world that we've done is on a relatively straight north-south path. So up north there's Space Village, and beyond that, it goes on up to Sparta and Granville. So we're working our way down south. Here we've got the train bridge. You can either walk across or ride a train across. And this is Chesterton. Now, if you see that blue beacon over there and the blue beacon over here, Chesterton uses blue beacons to mark its boundaries. So we are at the northern end, and it's pretty much a rectangle. So it stays about that width all the way down, and we'll just work our way down the entire length of Chesterton. But before we get in Chesterton, I want to show the swamp hut that was discovered, another ancient structure. That was out here. You see the green beacon? That's just so boats, when you're on boat, you can find the hut. And there it is. You can see a little dock there. You can dock your boat to. And to find your way back, you just follow the other green beacon. And of course, the thing that you cannot miss in this area is called the wooden arches. And just the arches. So that's these big structures here. Now they believe, as you can see, they get bigger as you go along. They believe there was once one even bigger than this one out over the swamp here. But it was not reconstructed. These are all reconstructed, these last few big ones here. We'll just do an aerial flyby here. And as you can see, the smaller ones, now we're getting down to the originals that were here. There are 2 of each of the smaller ones. And this was all that was here. Probably these 5 here. Before Chesterton was here, before anything was built up, they discovered these arches, and that's where they decided we'll start an area here. So here, Paige was granted this little area of land, and she built her summer cottage here. So that's what that is. If you come down through here, there's a road that goes right along the arches here. And this is the Archway Cinema. You can see a train station conveniently goes to its door. It can show 2 movies at a time. And this is the river that marks the northern border or the western border of Chesterton. Now, if you can see, we'll pull up here. There is a block of land here that still has not been developed. They may leave it as a park, or if they really run out of space, they can clear that and build something else there. But for now, we're going to show the Chesterton Public Pool. And this is the Chesterton train station, kind of the main hub. That was the early center of Chesterton, and it's been expanded quite a bit. The original train station was a little smaller. So here in the corner, we've got the Chesterton Public Library. You can check out books, sit out here on the deck, looking across the water. Now you see a fence here. That is the eastern border of Chesterton, and just on the other side is Templeton. A little confusing. So right here you've got Chesterton, Templeton, and then that is the Five Canyon Wildlife Park out in there. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But meanwhile, we're going to get back into Chesterton. This is Chesterton Main Street, the one I'm looking down now. That pretty much goes right down the center of Chesterton. This residential area, we've got my real life house here. Next, this is my parents' real life house. This is the house I lived in before this one. And there's my grandma's house in real life. So that was kind of how Chesterton started building houses, residential. And on this hill back here, we have the observation tower. We'll fly up there and take a look. Nice clear night. We'll see how far we can see. As I said, all these structures I've been mentioning have been individual episodes of MC Travelogue. So, man, we're so high up that it's hard to even see very far. Now, as we go down, you can see that river that snakes around. Like I said, that's the western border of Chesterton. If you go down to the ground level here, you will see that observation tower is built up on a hill. On the back side of the hill was the mayor's mansion. And you can't really even see it from Chesterton. The only way to get into it was this secret train, which goes underground, steps going up into the mansion. So the train track snakes through this valley, hidden valley, with an emerald train station. There's a secret door not many people know about, which comes out on this side of the wall in the zoo, the back side of the zoo. So that's how you get to the mayor's mansion. You go through the zoo. There's the zoo entrance, and there's the welcome center there below us. The white building is the aquarium, not planetarium. Got cages back here, then built into the ground to the wall we have other cages, and these are a series of fields for the grazing animals. Then we're back on Main Street in Chesterton, and you can see the Golden Pyramid restaurant. Now Chesterton does continue south But it's still under development. You can see there's still quite a bit of land where they can build. And there's a few things back in here that have not been featured on episodes yet. But I'm going to go on to the southern tip of Chesterton. And again, you see the blue beacon over there and the blue beacon here. That is the southern end of Chesterton. And actually, this is the southernmost tip of what we've built in this particular Minecraft world. So we've gone from the northern tip, that step pyramid, all the way down to the southern tip here. But there's more. Over here, like I mentioned earlier, we've got the Five Canyons Wildlife Park. Now, it is totally surrounded by a fence, and they did that to mark what was their territory, so people are not allowed to build inside the wildlife preserve, except for these train stations, but those are stops at each of the canyons for people to visit and tour. Now, Chesterton is a little upset because they're running out of space, and that's why you see them built right up against the fence, because they don't think it's right that they've got all this space that's just not being used. But, you know, the wildlife people are like, no, we need to preserve it because everywhere else is being built up and running out of natural space. Okay, so once we leave the Five Canyons area, we're back in Templeton. And it's named Templeton because of these old ancient temples. This one is some kind of calendar or timekeeping structure. And there's the other temple, which helped name Templeton. Now, also in this area, along the coast here, we have Will's Hotel. That's the multicolored building there. We have an entrance going down into the Aqua Tunnel. And we have a pet shop, the green building there. And you can see we've circled back around. We are now at the observatory again. I just want to show underwater here. So this is the big bay. You got Chesterton up there, Templeton here, and again we've got the free fall, you know, everything up in that area. You can see the outline of what's going to be the underwater dome. So they were just testing depths and, you know, just getting a lay of the land underwater, but at night you can really see the lights they put down there. And again, once that dome is constructed, the aqua tunnel is going to be access into that dome. All right, well, let's keep going away from here. We're almost done now. We're back. You can see the wall in Paige's domain. We're heading north again now. Now, if we go to the east, that was where this whole world started. And it was actually in this place right over here. You can see the cool Will Tower. It was one of the first things built. But all these buildings, except for the white and blue train station there, all these buildings, this was the very original, the original settlement that Will built. And the original spawn point was right over here. And before all the temples, all these buildings were built, this was just all wilderness. You can see someone's built a portal. I would say Will. But this was the original spawn point. And when you showed up here, we were getting confused on which way Will has started building his settlement. So Paige created this arrow pointing this way, which points right to the original settlement, where everything began. And then from there, we just kept moving this direction. And that's where you see Paige's house and Will's house. Just beyond that. Little history lesson here. Paige's house, Will's house, and then Space Village. Those were the main three structures out in this area. And then everything just grew from there. So this episode has lasted one full day. I started at the temple yesterday morning, and day came and went. We talked all through the night. And I think we'll end it here on top of this building in Space Village. So this was big episode 50. I thought I'd do something different, and I hope you enjoyed it. And if I get to episode 100, we'll do something else similar. We'll figure something out special to do. But that concludes our tour of our Minecraft world. Thanks for watching, and come back for another episode of MC Travelogue.